Hi there, grade 10s. This is Mr. Dunbar, and it is a sunny Wednesday morning. I'd like to take you through a short video on accessibility. This will be a topic that we are going to spend a few days looking at. It's one that's very important to a lot of people who use computers. One of the things about accessibility tools in computers is that they make a difference in the lives of people who are disabled, and it also makes a difference for the lives of people who are able-bodied. An important consideration is that it's a matter of basic human rights and dignity for a lot of people as well, since it allows them to access services and technologies that they otherwise wouldn't. In Canada, Microsoft, Google, and Apple are certainly the biggest players in the tech field. They produce the most gadgets, they produce the most computers, they have the biggest influence on our internet. What do they say? I've provided you some links that you can go to. You'll find them in the assignment description. You'll also find them in the video description below, or you can even copy them from here. So I'd like you to go to these different websites, take a look at what Apple, Google, and Microsoft have to say about accessibility. They've got some very good mini documentaries about how their particular technology can help. Now, obviously, they are going to put a spin on their own technology, but nonetheless, it gives us an insight into what they are doing. So I'd like you to go to these different sites, peruse them, which is a fancy word for saying read, find out what the different platforms offer. Different platforms, different approaches. What about the companies? What do they say about accessibility? They're forced to do certain things by law because we now recognize that accessibility is a human rights issue, but there are also philosophical differences between the companies. And what do their websites tell you about their commitment to accessibility? Is it something they do because they have to, or is it because it's something that they want to? Oh, and I threw a link in to Samsung, since they are the most common of the Android manufacturers in Canada. I'd also like you to take the time to watch some of the videos that each of the site has. They are quite good. Watch some of them, or watch them all if you are looking for something to do, and listen to their message. And finally, I'd like you to think about what you could do with this knowledge. Now, I'm sure you've seen some of the accessibility features of your computer or your phone, but you probably weren't aware that there were many more. Are there any that you yourself could use? Are there any that you could help a friend or a family member or even an acquaintance improve their life by figuring out how to use an accessibility feature of their device or their computer? So I leave this up to you as a challenge. So please think how you could use your newfound knowledge from this assignment and make a difference in someone's life. I've pulled up a few of the websites. Here we've got Microsoft's website. You can see that they have a number of descriptions. They also have some videos describing how inclusive design works. Here is Apple's website. You'll notice that Apple takes a different approach. They highlight the technologies that they're using. Apple is a hardware company, whereas Microsoft and Google are software companies. So Apple has a different type of, philosophy and approach. Apple also has a very long history of working with accessibility software. I've been using computers for over 3 decades, and I've been using both Microsoft and Macintosh operating systems. And I can tell you from personal experience that Apple has been doing this for over 30 years. Microsoft's early efforts were nowhere near as successful as Apple's. Anyway, Apple has some very good proven technology. You can take a look at the different technologies that are available with Apple devices. Google too has a website. Google's focus is web. They do have Android as one of their projects, since Android provides the means for people to come to their search engine and see all their ads. Google is basically a giant advertising company, and we're not surprised to see that Google's accessibility focus heavily on web access, which is a truly important feature. And you'll note, if you do the research, you'll find out that many jurisdictions in the world have laws in place to ensure that people with disabilities can access the internet, certainly with government websites. And I also discovered there's a different accessibility website for Microsoft. I guess the Canadian and the American versions are slightly different. Different layout, different topics. The videos aren't directly accessible on the American one. Anyway, there are still similarities. I invite you to explore them all. Since many of you will have family or friends or maybe personally experience dyslexia, I thought maybe we could take a moment and look at Andrew and Mitra.
The fact that over the summer, a child can go from basically nothing to having the world at their fingertips and being able to read and being willing to try, it's more than a miracle. I think it's more than anybody can expect. Even in kindergarten, Anjay was incredibly bright, but he couldn't read. The difficulty reading continued to second grade. Shortly after Anjay was diagnosed with dyslexia, a friend of mine said she saw something online about a tool from Microsoft for kids with dyslexia. I made an appointment at our local Microsoft store. We went in, they downloaded learning tools, asked Anjay to sit down, and my son read. It was amazing. Anjay, in that moment, conquered this fear and realized that he could access something that had been inaccessible to him. I saw my little boy read and knew that here was an answer, that here was something that could change his life. Microsoft Learning Tools has been a miracle in our lives. He could get everything in the same font. He was able to lengthen his speech.
Now I'll switch to Apple's accessibility site for a moment. You'll notice at the top there's a little browser with the various devices that Apple sells. So Macs, iPads, iPhones, the Apple Watch, the Apple TV, HomePod. And you can find out about the specific technologies available in each device, because obviously they will have to be slightly different. So let's take a look at their front page video. Remember, I encourage you to explore all of these websites and find out more about your particular device, or perhaps just find out about all of them.
People think that having a disability is a barrier. But that's not the way I see it. You can catch up with friends.
Ready?
You can capture a moment with your family.
One face, small face, focus lock.
And you can start the day bright and early. You can take a trip to somewhere new.
3 miles to the summit.
You can concentrate on every word of a story.
A bird began to sing. Jack opened his eyes.
You can take the long way home. Or edit a film like this one. When technology is designed for everyone, it lets anyone do what they love, including me.
Google also has an accessibility website. In their case, you will need to do a bit more reading to figure out what's going on. You'll notice again at the top there is a nav bar for the accessibility, the home page for it, products and features. There's a huge list of online web-based products. So I see our Google Classroom, Cloud Search, and you can see on the right-hand side different accessibility tools that are available for these particular services and features. One thing that I would like to leave you with is my personal observation. So I'm now in my mid-40s. I've been using computers for well over 3 decades. I've seen things change, and what we have available to us now is, for lack of a better word, magic. When I pick up my phone, I can talk to it, I can say, "Hey Google," and you might hear all the beeps around me in this room. A whole bunch of Google devices just started listening to me, and I can ask them all sorts of things. Same thing with Siri, and
This came back from Google.
there we go. You might have heard this came back from Google. My phone just decided to do something. So yeah, there are so many phenomenal things, and that's just voice control. There are also amazing things that are now being done with eye control, with people who have difficulties controlling their hands. It's, to me at least, astounding what is now possible. So what you will experience in 30 years will be just mind-boggling. Anyway, please take your time, explore these websites. They are certainly worth exploring. Definitely watch some of the videos. They will open your eyes to a lot of what is available. And then put it together, synthesize it. I've asked you to do a short assignment for me. I think I set the due date for next Monday. So please take the time and complete this task. Thank you, and have yourself a great afternoon.